Hey, I want to review this heater because it works so good. This is the Mr. Heater. It's the small one. There's 2 sizes that I know of. There might be 3. I have the Big Buddy Mr. Heater, which is the one that has dual elements, and I have this one here. What I like about this one over the other one is because, well, number one, it's perfect in the tent. I used to heat my bathroom. I don't have to keep my bathroom heated. I use a wood stove to heat the house. But, you know, I'm only in the bathroom, you know, what, once, twice a day at the most. And so when I want to heat the bathroom, because, you know, electricity's a whole lot more expensive than propane. I go ahead and I refill these bottles all the time, these little bottles you see here. But what I found out on this is that when you turn it up, when you start it up, turn it all the way open to high to let it get where you want it to be. That way it heats up the element, because when you don't start up on high, you'll get gas, it'll start puffing on you sometimes. I've already had this one on and outside. I was using it out there in my shed. I was cleaning out my shed, so it's portable. I can take it anywhere with me, and it's ready to go at all times. And I don't need to have a generator running or anything for electricity. So I really like these little Mr. Heaters, the propane heaters. This one here, you can get, or you can make a cord for it to go into a 5-gallon propane tank, you know, or a 20-pound propane tank. That's another thing, though. The propane tanks, the little 5-gallons, that's 20 pounds. These are 1-pound canisters. So if you're buying these for $2 or $3 a piece, when propane is like, you know, 10 cents a pound or $2 a gallon, you're a lot better off refilling these. So, but what I've noticed on this particular heater is that you have the 3 settings. You have, of course, off, then low, then high. But this is a regular rheostat valve, so you can turn it anywhere that you want. And here's on the low position right now. And then I can turn it half again as much closed even farther. And what I do, when you can hear it start doing that, I just crack it open a little bit more, and I've got it on the lowest setting that it'll go for me at this point in time. I'm going to go ahead and hit the click, and it came right on. Okay, so what I'm going to do is I'm going to turn it onto low, to show you what happens when you start it up on low. And I don't mean low where I had it, but I've got it on low right now. So it should actually be going at this point in time, but it hasn't lit yet. And this is the problem that I've found. A lot of times it just won't light on lower. If you tip it forward, it'll do that, and it's going to puff, you know, until it gets warm, which this is still a warm element, but you see it didn't light. So let's shut it back off again. When it's on high, it gives it enough gas to where it just comes right on immediately. And so I'm going to push it down, turn it to pilot. Pilot's on. I'm going to go immediately to high. And you see it just comes right on. There's no sputtering. You don't got to tip it forward or nothing. Then I can back it back down to low again right after it comes on. You can wait a minute or two. Okay. And it's actually on low right now because the element's not heated up immediately. And now you can see what's going on real close. I'm going to go ahead and turn this down even lower, beyond the low point. So I actually turned it on to where it went off for a second. Then I brought it back on. This is the lowest setting I can get it onto. And it is about half the distance. Okay, from right here. Here is your pilot setting. This is your low setting. And your high setting is over here. So right now I'll turn it so it has a little bit more light. And we're going to go up to low. Okay, so that's low. And I guess it doesn't matter if my hand gets on the light. I'm going to go back up to high. There's high. So there's a major difference. And you know what? This is the review on this. I wanted to put it on here because from what I've found on this heater, because the element is sideways and not vertical like on the double that I'll be showing here in a second, you can really crank it down low. I mean, and it goes a lot lower than the other one does. I mean, look at that. We're already halfway, over halfway when it starts making the noise. And what that is just it's low propane coming through, not enough to heat the entire element up. So I just turn it up a little bit, and there we have it. So we can go even lower on this one, where you can't go low like this on the other one because the elements are vertical, or the rectangle is just straight up and down. we know it's not going to light. So you have to push this down to get the gas going, or otherwise the gas isn't going to come in at all. So when you push it down to light it, push it and turn it open the rest of the way as far as it'll go. That way you don't have to count to 20 or 30 like on some of them. You just let it go, you know, 3, 4, whatever. Light it, it comes right on. That's a big tip right there. Be sure and open the pilot light up after you push it down all the way open so you can get it up, okay? And then it just comes on. I turn it on to high again because this has been cool. It's probably been sitting for 15 minutes. And I turn it back down to low afterwards. And then I can turn it back down to halfway, so I'm not using hardly any gas in this. This is the #1 reason why I really like this one. It just doesn't have, I got water on it from outside, I was out in the snow. Is it small enough for me here in California, you know, and let's figure when I'm camping, it doesn't usually get below 30. So it's not going to be that cold inside of a tent. This heats me up just fine. And like I said, I use it in the bathroom. That's the #1 tip on this. I can't remember if there was something else I was going to say. I don't think so. Just as far as taking the cans off, you just unscrew them, put them back on. And that's it for this one. But the primer is the #1. And being able to set this thing to half again as low as you can get this one here in the back is that much better. Now let's go over this other one. I don't know, this is just Mr. Heater. I don't know if it has another name. But I don't see it. We'll just call this one Mr. Heater. And this one here is the Big Buddy Heater. It's still Mr. Heater, whether you can rate it or not down here. And I've had this one for a long time. I actually bought it first because I didn't realize that the small one would actually do the job. And I wanted to be sure and have plenty of heat. The nice thing about this heater is it'll hold 2 of the tanks, and you can just turn out the valve to put the tank on. It doesn't matter if you only have 1 tank. You can put it on either side because it's plumbed all the way through, so you can light the entire thing at one time. I'm just going to go ahead and put this one on here. We're going to leave it in. It closes back down. The door shuts and locks. Where with the small one, didn't have a door. You just screwed it in from the bottom. Okay. Same thing with this. As far as priming it goes, this one does not have an actual igniter. The igniter is on the pilot, so when you turn it, it ignites. We're going to turn it to pilot and hold it for the count of 4 or 5. Somewhere in that area. I'm going to turn it back to off and back to pilot, and the pilot lights. Okay? Because you got to get the igniter. So what I'm doing is, the igniter only goes between off and pilot. But you got to prime it first. So you can't just push it down and hold it down and do it usually, because it'll take forever, especially if you don't have a tank in there, you're putting the new tank on. You got to prime it like we did with the other one. So what we're going to do, like always, is come straight over. Now I got gas in there, it's going to light every time. That's cool. And it's the same on this one, but you have different settings on this. In that you have low and medium is high on the right burner, and then high is just having both burners ignited. Okay, and that's it. This is basically the only difference. You can also see that these are vertical, the rectangular elements, and so we're going to go ahead and turn it back down. Okay, so that is actually high on the other one. And when I go to turn this down up on top this time, from high, I can take it back down to low. But now I'm going to try and turn it down like to half. What happens is, right away, when you go off of high on this one, it starts, bubbling. So you can actually turn the other one down a little bit lower than you can this one, where this one here will just shut off. That's the basic problem with this one. Turn it off. It's kind of fussy. Okay, now it's back on high, it's working good. So that's it on that. But the other nice thing on this one, it actually has 2 things. Number one, it's got a fan on the back. The fan button is right up here on the top, this little red fan button. And you got 2 choices. You got electrical plug-in you can put in here, which this is the #1 bummer on this one, is that the plug-in was so small that I just barely touched it, the heater itself, and pushed it back into something, and it broke off. But it does have a battery backup. You can put batteries in here and the fan will work. I don't run the batteries, I don't run the fan usually. Basically I don't have a need for it. But it was nice to be able to turn the fan on for heating up a large room back in the day when the fan worked. I just haven't seen a need to buy a new fan piece. They were extra. And honestly, I just have no need to put it in there. And then what we have on this side is we have, let's see, are you going to be able to see that? Let me bring this in. Okay. You've got the place where you can screw the tank in, and you also have a quick connect for the propane. So I'm just going to go ahead and get the propane right now, the hose, we're going to quick connect it in. Just to show you how easy it is. This is one thing that the other one doesn't have. You'll actually have to build one with a regulator for the other one, where this one comes prepared, all ready to go. So all you do is just slide this on there. Okay, put it up in there. Pull back. Probably easier two-handed. Can you see that? Or my hands are going to be in the way. And that's it. Just push it up on there. It goes on by itself. This is the real advantage of this one. Plus, you've got the two tanks. We can screw the other tank in. Okay. And when you get it fit sideways, this will eventually close. And, you know, it'll work either way. I'm going to take this off. I just don't need it. I never have the tanks on this one. I always use the 5-gallon propane tank. And that's it for this. It's got a little slot there, so it closes. You know, the hose comes right out. And then when you hook it up to the regular propane tank, it works the same. The one thing I just did notice just now is this did go lower with just having the one tank on here. But let's watch and see what happens when I switch it over to the big propane tank. As I'll show you this. This is a standard quick connect on the propane. Okay, it's just a clockwise connect. It's not your regular the old inside gas thread. So you just put it on, screw it on. Always make sure the regulator is up and down. And this is how they were designed to run. With this is the regulator is straight up and down. And you turn this on. Okay, now let me show you what happens when you have the regular gas, because it's got the regulator on there, and now we're running off of that tank. Still turn up to high to light the one side. It doesn't go quite as low. They're about the same, I guess, as it was. It runs okay. Still, it doesn't go as low as the other one, though. Okay, best case scenario for me, as far as I'm concerned, is have both. Because it's so nice to be able to just heat a room in your house with one of these instead of having the air on. You know, when you're going to spend all kinds of money. And with me, you know, I'm single. I'm out here in this room most all day long, or I'm outside doing stuff. And the kitchen, the bathroom, like I said, you know, I use it once a day maybe, you know. And then the little heater works great for that, for just heating the bathroom. I go in there, turn it on. If I'm going to take a shower, I'll wait a couple minutes after I turn it on, let the whole room get warm, because it'll heat the room up in 2 to 3 minutes on high. Well, the little one is also, of course, my favorite, because I can crank it down so low, you know. I mean, that just makes it nice. Turn it down to where it's almost off, just crank it back up a little bit. Works good. So yeah, this one's nice and portable. I use it to heat my shop. Even right now in the middle of winter, I've got a, what is it, a 10 by 20 foot, one of those steel containers for my shop. And it does just fine with the door closed. If I got the door open, well, I got to use the bigger one. But with the door closed, it works good. And that's it.